John Emmett, first one on from Foiltown, meaning in Weymouth, where the Moth Worlds are getting under. They're going to have 150 boats there.
Wow.
John's got a nice report on that today. Ed Worley's checking in from, I don't know where Ed is, presumably SoCal. Cheers, he's saying. Good evening from Yell, Scotland, Graham Sweeney. Welcome, Graham. And many others checking on for this show number 624.
Wow.
Bloody hell. Who else is signing on here? Alistair Murray, top of the morning down under, where it is 0601 in Melbourne, Australia. Ted Ryman in Cape Town, where it is 2201 tonight. Next day in Australia. Julie Aarons in Cleveland. Steve Adkins in Connecticut. Thanks to all of you for joining us. As we count down the last 5 seconds, let's get this one across the line. I think I'll start on camera 2 today. Studio B here at the Beach Street Yacht Club, where we had Maddie Whitfield sitting between us, Julia, the other day. It was nice to have him with us.
It was.
I trust, Julia, you are well.
Of course.
Rick Bannerow's checking in. The fuzzy Fozzie, he says, the bearded fuzzy, in Stamford, roundabout Stamford, Connecticut. Not sure what his exact hometown is. Barry Pickthall, still cruising in the Scottish Western Isles. Hi, Barry. Really nice to have you on. Don Lunabos up in Sonoma in wine country north of us, across the bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge. Clark Chapin checking in from June Lake, Plymouth, Michigan. He has already liked and shared the show. Thank you for that. As are, I'm sure, a lot of others of you. Gordon Smith in Denmark. Good evening, my little water babies. Julia. This is show number 624. Welcome to the show for Tuesday, the 6th of June. It was this month, 6 years ago, we started all this madness by doing I want to get rid of the lower thirds. By doing, remember, by popular demand, we did a pre-show to the America's Cup 2017.
Right.
It was in Bermuda, and there was nobody to do a pre-show. So we went on for half an hour and said, and the people came on from the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron all over the world and said, Hi, what's going on? We were giving them an update on what was about to happen, what had happened the day before, what was about to happen when television went live. And then it turned out to be reasonably popular, so popular that they thought we should continue. A lot of people thought we should continue.
Yes.
And hence this show, which is, of course, now Sailing. We just simply call it Sailing Illustrated, with a couple other iterations, but bloody hell,
yeah,
we're pressing on now, having done this for
624
6
times.
years.
Yeah.
6 years.
Yeah. That's
Two
incredible.
shows a week, 100 shows a year, 600 shows plus, and that's what we're doing. Okay, let's carry on here. I want to thank Maddie Whitfield. As I said, he was there on the hot seat.
Yeah.
We have not had a live studio guest here, Julia,
Since the pandemic.
since the pandemic. And it was nice to have Matt here since before the pandemic. And
Yeah.
the first live in-studio guest. Skype works fine. Look at how the world has changed. I mean,
Yeah.
we used to resist having Skype guests, and now Skype or Zoom, it all works just fine. Thanks to Matt Whitfield for coming on and doing that with us. We call him the Gov Cup analyst, or analyst. Come on, I like to make fun of him, the analyst. And he will be doing the commentary at the end of next month, end of July, with Andy Rose and myself. He's done it for a couple, 3 years now, and 2 years formally, and a little bit before that. Thanks for coming on. And you would probably like to know how he did racing here in the U.S. Sailing's Area G match racing qualifier, the National Prince of Wales match racing qualifier. And I just stuck a Fozzie Focus Cool People segment in here because there's a lot of Fozzie featured in the next few here in the slides and videos carrying forward. I went over to the club Friday night after racing, or Saturday night after racing. They raced Saturday and Sunday, 2 full rounds robin. There were 8 teams. He raced each of the other 7 teams once, 14 races. And that was it. Whoever was had the most wins at the end of 14 races was the winner. And predictably, with that kind of a format, with no semifinals or finals, you can have ties. And indeed, they ended up in a three-way tie for first. This was the umpire debrief Friday night. And I won't bore you with the audio. Well, the audio was interesting, actually. You've got one of the umpires there in the blue shirt. You got the chief umpire in the back, regatta officials, and all of the sailors. And I'm sitting there thinking, as they're asking questions, the umpires are explaining their calls, and it was 35 years ago, right about now, last month, when at Congressional Cup we did our first umpiring, 1988. And I'm thinking that when we did also these umpire debriefs, most of these kids weren't born 35 years ago.
No.
And how much resistance I had as trying to get that off the ground, how much resistance I had from the umpires themselves. The sailors were all in favor of coming, yeah, let's go in and discuss it and carry on.
Yeah.
But the umpires themselves were not amused. They said, we're not going to come in there and put our proverbial, what on the table and let the sailors come down and with a hammer and tell us we were wrong. Well, it's actually been a great thing. It's brought sailors and judges, umpires more closely, removed some of the, what's the word I want, some of the angst and antagonism between judges and umpires. And this was another example of that, discussing, there's Matt Whitfield on the left, and he said, hey, he puts, they put his boat blue and the other boat was yellow, and it was actually Chris Weiss who ended up winning the regatta, and they actually touched. But the umpires are showing where they were located, and they didn't see that there was a contact, so they green flagged it. And that's the explanation. We didn't see it. We were not out of position, but it was hard to see.
Yeah.
And it was very simple. Hey, sorry, if there was a touch, and both boats said yes, there was a touch. The umpire said, sorry, we didn't see it, and that's why we green flagged it. Green flag means no penalty.
Yeah.
And it's great. It gives a great atmosphere to the regatta. That was Saturday night. They went out and raced Sunday, and there were some famously cool people there. As I said, Fosie's there as well, and it took place this past Saturday, Sunday. It's Area G is kind of the upper West Coast. And on the left is the PRO Dave Pyron from St. Francis, the chump, the chief umpire Don Weineke, who is also from this part of the world, does a terrific job. I know him from Congressional Cup, Gov Cup, and so on. Our Commodore Bo Froelich in the big orange shirt, who is, he is, Julia, just such an outgoing, friendly guy.
Yes, yeah.
He's there at all of these kinds of events and making sure that everybody's comfortable, make sure the staff is doing their thing. And it was quite a nice evening. Now, the next guy, you see his name, he's actually racing, and I had to go over there in part to give Russell a hard time. That's Russell Long. Russell is not quite as old as I, but he's got to be 60-something. He raced Clipper in the 1980. He was the youngest, in fact, maybe still. I don't know if he was younger than Jimmy Spithill or not when Jimmy sailed in the trials at age 19, but Russell would have been about that age when he raced Clipper in the 1980 defense trials in Newport. He raised the money, he got the boat built, and the boat was okay, but he just was, like a lot of teams, they were a day late and $1 short, and he did a pretty good job. He had Andy Rose on the boat until the two of them came to loggerheads, and then they fired each other. It's not clear if Andy quit but they've since, I was giving a talk some years ago at St. Francis, and they were both in the audience. I said, oh, you guys should go kiss and make up, and they did. They went and had a hug right there. You were there in the grill room at St. Francis.
I forgot it.
So Russell Long is a hell of a nice guy. Russ held for a while the world sailing speed record, which he did in Tenerife in southern Spain. So it's great to see him. He's from New York originally, from the Northeast, went to Harvard, and he's living here in the marina in San Francisco. So I see him at the coffee shop every now and then. Far right is Bruce Stone, the hard-working regatta chair. He also raced in this regatta. The guy ran the regatta and raced in it. His wife, Nicole Briot, is a famously good match racer as well. Is. And Bruce, full marks to you and the chump and the PRO for doing it. It was rough and windy this weekend. It was cold, typical San Francisco, 55, 60, 65 degrees, a little hazy,
wind
foggy.
At 15 to 20.
Yeah, no, and more on Saturday. Actually, it was a little softer on Sunday. So bravo, Zulu. Now, I put these two together. This is on the right is Christophe Chalmant with Russell Long. And the reason I pulled them together is I've got to get a picture because Christophe Chalmant's great-grandfather, many of you on here will know at least by name, the famous O.L. Pitts. You remember O.L. from Fort Worth.
Indeed.
You were quite good friends with him,
Yes.
and Lee Smith and some of the others. Christophe is his great-grandson. O.L. died a couple of years ago at age 103 or 104. He funded, O.L. Pitts did, Ted Turner's campaigns and also our America 2 campaign in 87. And so Russell Long tells the story the other night, Julie, you'll love this. I get them together, and I'd heard it, but I'd forgotten the story. He said, "Oh, Christophe, your great-grandfather was such a character. One night we were in New York, and after the New York Yacht Club bar closed, we went over to the Carlisle Hotel. The Carlisle Hotel, where the famously good, he's gone now, but the late, great Bobby Short, jazz pianist and crooner singer, was playing. We used to go, Dyer Jones and I used to go over there and have a cocktail or two. So he said, I want to tell you, and after the show was over, O.L. took Russell Long up and he said, Bobby Short, this is Russell Long. Corny, but he got such a kick out of it. He told that joke to the group assembled the other night. And okay, corny, but this is the history of our wonderful sport, the great-grandson of O.L. Pitts, whom Russell Long had long since known, no pun intended. So this is the prize giving on Sunday afternoon after the racing. Matt, our Fozy, Super Fozy, Matt Whitfield, there's Christophe Chalmant going up. They finished in this three-way tie for first, but the tiebreak went against them. They ended up second overall. But this is a cool thing. You'll see in this next photo, after the Commodore gets them their trophies, and I was the only, you see this Bruce Stone over there on the right, but I ended up being the regatta photographer there, at least in the trophy. And you see the kid that said St. Ignatius on his sweatshirt?
Yep.
One of Matt's crews was unable to sail on Sunday, so this kid, high school sailor, he's, 16, 17, something like that. His name is Beckett Shin. He filled in, and Matt did a terrific job along with Harrison Turner and Christophe, and they ended up second, tie for second. But you just, you fill in, you help each other out. Some kid you've never sailed with before, and apparently he was quite okay in the J-22s.
Yep.
So you got a wide, and Christophe flew up from Texas to crew for Matt just because he knew him from Governor's Cup. Nice stuff. Bravo Zulu to the winners. This is Hayden Stapleton, who was crewing for Chris Weiss in the middle. Chris from Delray Yacht Club down in SoCal, along with Commodore Froelich. Bravo Zulu to them. They ended up on the tiebreak as the winner, and they get to go represent Area G at the U.S. Match Racing Championship for the Prince of Wales Bowl sometime later this year. Nice stuff.
Yep.
Fabulous Fozy. And we're really pleased to have been over there for someone who enjoyed some of that action and activity. Do you know, Julia, what day it is today?
Yes, but it's not that one.
Well, and that's this day in history. What is celebrated today?
Beetle Day.
Close, but no cigar. It's World Pest Day.
There are lots
on
of pests
June
around.
6th. There are lots of pests.
And some of them have two legs.
And that's true too. You're not talking about me, are you?
Well, no.
Huh? You would be talking about me. So World Pest Day, and I thought this was appropriate. We could have chosen one of the two of the others, but since John is going to be talking about moths in the moth world.
Oh, yes.
And the moths can be pests, right?
Yes.
Well, this is World Pest Day. And if we look into this just a little bit, people have been trying to get rid of pests for as far back as history can trace. Cave dwellers probably swatted mosquitoes or used smoke to ward off the blood suckers. Ugh. As far back as 2500 BC, people used sulfur compounds to control mites and insects. According to this is from the United Nations website. In 1200 BC, the Chinese deployed predatory ants against pests such as beetles and caterpillars. One of the first publicly advertised pest control companies, you Brits probably know this, was the 1690 company H. Tiffin and Son Limited in London. The company promoted rat and bedbug control using methods and chemical compounds they invented. Those compounds may have been more dangerous. The cure may have been worse than the disease. Their trademark was, quote, bug destroyers to Her Majesty. and the royal family. Huh?
Yeah, there are a couple, gosh, mosquito killers on Amazon that are just going crazy.
Really? Have you bought one? We don't have any mosquitoes here.
Well,
Not
I do
many.
in Calistoga.
Oh, in Calistoga you do. Well, there's a lot of Allies landing in Normandy. We'll get to that, Julie Ahrens. But one man's terrorist, Boomer Bland, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. The pest of my pest is my friend.
Okay.
And Emmett is saying, yeah, the moths probably say that the ilkas, the lasers, are pests. That could be true. Panda pest, I don't know. I had Graham Sweeney. I don't know. I didn't know I had a day. Yes, it's not Graham's. He's not a pest. He's one of the great guys here. Now, do you know what else happened on this day in history?
Hard to say.
I mean, what happened? It's just happened overnight. Here's your first clue.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I don't want to play much of this, but this is from, because I don't want to get a copyright strike,
Oh, yeah.
but this is from 1964, and this is from a couple months ago. Some kid I found on the internet playing my favorite song of all time, Girl from Ipanema.
Yeah.
And this, I don't know if this is any relation to Jonathan Frank, but it's a kid named Sean Frank, who's obviously a terrific piano player.
Yeah.
But as Peter Taylor is saying, yeah, Gordon Smith is saying, the girl from Ipanema, Astrid Gilberto, so sad. And that's what happened overnight. She passed away at the 83 was her age. Astrid Gilberto, thanks. I was sent this article in The Guardian from one of our Fozzie here in a moment. Astrid Gilberto, bossa nova singer of The Girl from Ipanema, dies aged 83. Graham Sweeney's calling it supermarket music. No, it's not supermarket music. It's one of the most famous jazz songs of all time. And of course, it changed the kind of the thrust of jazz in the 60s because bossa nova in Brazil, this song, as well as a lot of the other stuff that the guy who wrote that, whose name, do you remember, Julia? Who wrote that, the Brazilian? Antonio Carlos Jobim.
Jobim, yeah.
So she had no, I've said this any number of times, people didn't believe me. She had no previous recording experience when she sang a defining song of Brazilian, really, of world jazz culture in 1963. You have the kid playing behind. She was born in 1940 in the Brazilian state of Bahia and raised in Rio. Astrid Weinert married musician João Gilberto in 1959. João Gilberto. In 1963, she accompanied him on a trip to New York where he would record with famous jazz saxophonist Stan Getz and fellow Brazilian bossa nova star Antonio Carlos Jobim, who wrote that song and many others, Quiet Nights of Quiet Stars and so on. The session's producer wanted an English language singer to help the Girl from Ipanema cross over to a U.S. audience, and Astrid, who had no previous recording experience, was the only person who could speak it. So you have the squeeze of one of the musicians said, oh, I can sing that, and I can sing it in English, and she did. And bravo Zulu to the gentleman who was playing that for us. So where'd that come from? Our super Fozzie focus, I somehow skipped. That's not correct, Julia.
No.
Huh? We don't want that. I've skipped backwards somehow. What the hell had that happen? So that was a cool thing that she did. Let me get this.
And was never paid for it.
She was paid, exactly right. She was paid something like $130, which was union scale.
Yeah.
To do that. And we've got the Getz Gilberto album. There it was. And it was she sang two of the tracks on that album featuring João Gilberto, Stan Getz, and Antonio Carlos Jobim. I found that album in my freshman dorm. It made me very happy. And it won a Grammy for the Song of the Year and a nomination for the best vocal performance by a female, one who had never, ever recorded, if you can believe that. Up until that song in New York, Astrid Gilberto.
They didn't even give her credit on the album, I don't think.
Yeah, they did. I think ultimately they did, but she became famous ultimately.
Yeah.
And she started getting a lot of credit, and then made some made some money ultimately.
Yes.
But she moved to the U.S.
Yeah.
and had a romance ultimately with a couple of these guys in the band, including Stan Getz, or so one hears.
Oh, that's
Astrid Gilberto, originally from Brazil, now resided in the USA up until her death last night, 1942. 2023 it should be. My graphics department mucked that up, sorry. And thanks to Paul Homchick for sending that along earlier this morning.
I also love that music and that record.
It was famously cool, famously good, right?
Mm.
Okay, we're talking about the historic Admiral's Cup in a moment. It's been resurrected, is the word some people are using. It's returning in 2025. That's our lead story today. But before we get to that, let's get to John Emmett here in the coach's corner. Now, you see that original picture. Let me go back to that. Where is that picture? We've been running that picture for quite some time with this audio. And Lily was not happy. She finally watched the show, I guess. And she saw, what's that picture, John? And she took and then sent 2 pictures. And this is the one that we have settled on. I hope you all like it. That is our new Coach's Corner picture featuring Super Fozy John Emmett and his report today from Weymouth and the Moth Worlds. Moth Worlds preview.
I agree with Lily.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. I'm here in the Weymouth and Portland National Sailing Academy, and I believe they call this an eclipse of moths. In fact, there's over 100. They're all on shore now, so I thought I could do the boat park walk and talk. The entry, I think, was limited to about 150 boats, and they got there very, very quickly. Not everyone's going to be able to do the Worlds. Just bumped into Dylan Fletcher, who's only here for the UK Open, and it is an absolutely stacked fleet. Trying to work out who to talk to, given the number of days, is actually very different. But I'm going to go back a little bit to the grassroots sailing, and we've had a very busy half-term week. And before this, I was actually here for the Aeros, and it's something that Lily particularly enjoyed, having a lighter boat. And I was going to put some of my thoughts about the Aero. So they've now got a lot of rigs. In fact, they've got a 5, 6, 7 and 9, and I don't know whether the class would agree to me, but I think it's quite easy to pick the rig because it's just the number of kilos you are. So 50 for the 5, 60 for the 6, 70 for the 7, and in fact they just need an 8 for those sailors between 80 and 90 kilos, and they've probably got more or less the whole sailing population. But yeah, it was very nice to sail such a light boat, and that makes it very easy to pull it up and down a slipway and all this sort of thing. And it was very rewarding to sail, and I can see why we have the attractions with the Moths, with the lighter and faster boats. I think it's exactly the same skill set whether you're sailing an Ilka, which is about twice the weight, or an Aero. And for me, I learnt a lot. In fact, it just meant it was slightly more rewarding with the steering, but perhaps a more tippy boat. I have to say, and perhaps I'm biased going back to it, I probably prefer the Ilka, because those really round designs are going to be rewarding the downwind sailing more. And I also think some of the Ilka, well, it was back then, it was laser 4.7 sailors. I used to give a hard time for not working the boat hard enough. They probably get away with it a bit more in an Aero. But actually, any boat with good technique, the harder you work, the faster you'll go. And yeah, this idea about being the right weight for the boat, I do feel sometimes people will change the class, whereas actually they need to change their work rate. The key thing, it doesn't matter how heavy a boat is or any of these things, in terms of the physical requirement, because it's very simple, whether you're sailing a hiking boat or a trapeze boat. In those conditions where you're overpowered, it's very, very simple. You're just trying to get your head as far away from your toes as possible. So whether that's a completely straight line and horizontal in a trapeze boat, or as best as you can in terms of hiking, whether the boat's lighter or not, or whether it's a small sail or a big sail, it's always going to be like that. Now, the interesting thing about the Moths, and I obviously cover a bit more of this, it's a development class. They have really important decisions to make before they even leave the dock. And I'm walking around the boat park, and there's a lot of medalists here. In fact, I think I could probably do an interview every day just with the top ILCA sailors. So really encourage you, do check out those videos and tell me who I should talk to next. Being in the UK, should be able to join you on the show, and I hope you've appreciated the little walk around. And we did very well without walking into any tiller extensions.
And Lily pans around to get some of the atmosphere. 100 boats already there, and they're expecting 150.
Yeah.
You got to give the Brits credit. I mean, the Aussies, the Kiwis, the French, maybe the Italians you can talk about, but sailing is certainly not, I mean, it's booming in the UK, huh?
Yep.
Don't you think?
Sounds like it.
Sure does. Okay, now John did another video, and this, in fact, I think he put up 4 or 5 today, but one of them is this interview with Thomas Semmons. I hope I had his name spelled right in the pre-show and the credits, the show notes at the top of the show. But this kid is so self-assured, but without being arrogant. He's humble, he's articulate, he's thoughtful. I don't know what he is, 13 or something, but it gives one great confidence in the future of the sport, if not the planet. Have a look.
I'm John Emmett, and it's really nice to be here, Castle Cove Sailing Club. It's the Topper Open, and we've had 4 races in, well, I was going to say easterly, but the wind went right all the time, southeasterly conditions. Introduce yourself and tell us about your weekend.
I'm Tom. I'm from Brixham down in Devon. Had quite a good weekend. Good coaching on Saturday.
Who was the coach then?
Ollie Hale, I think, and another Ollie, 2 Ollies.
It's always good to mention the coaches. I'm biased here, but you know, the reason I full-time sail is because of the people who helped me out when I was your age. So, training on Saturday?
Yep, training on Saturday, some good tuning runs. I've sailed Castle Cove quite a lot, but just to get back to used to the conditions, and good sail today.
Brilliant. And you had 4 races today. Can you tell us how they went?
Yeah, good. First race, leading until basically second to last leg. Just made a bit of a sloppy decision to go right and not cover the fleet, but good first race, second race, not the greatest of starts, so covered up to third, and the last 2 races, good solid bullets, and just got on the groove.
Brilliant. And what's next for you?
Next, I think it's regional junior championships in Torquay, so near home for me.
Brilliant. Well, lots of luck and congratulations for the weekend.
Thank you very much.
If you've enjoyed this video, please remember to like, share and subscribe.
Yeah, I agree, Ted Ryman. He is a cool kid, and again, the confidence. He's humble. He's modest. Yeah, I made kind of a sloppy decision. It went right when I should have gone left. Is that what he said?
Did you recognize Lily in that last?
Yeah, Lily was right in there too.
Yeah.
But another great video from John, and go to his YouTube channel and for more.
Yes.
Please do, and we appreciate, as always, him sending us, a video every show. And he's been doing it for years. John Emmett sailing, get to the front of the fleet with Coach A. See that little comment he made about, oh yeah, it's always nice of you to mention coaches.
Yes, indeed.
Like, follow, and share is what John likes to say, and Julia. So please do so if you haven't already. Go to the comments for a sec. Yeah, after WASP sailing, Lily handed out the prizes. Well, she's famous, John. She's more famous than you, isn't she? You're both famous.
Yeah.
Well done, John Emmett. Marcos Weinstein is saying, yeah, Marcos asked me to remind you, and while I'm thinking about it, Julie, he's asked me to remind everybody about the Wooden Boat Show, Wooden Boat Festival, I think it's called,
Yeah.
next weekend down in SoCal. If you're in SoCal, I think it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Balboa Yacht Club, and Saturday is the public day, It's open to the public. I think it's open privately to people who pay a buck or two and get in to see and there's some cool boats, including one of the Stevens 58s, a Stevens 58 that I was telling you. I met the owner at the bar here the other night, helped him get in touch with Paul, Commodore Paul Blank, who's now the harbor master down there. He was looking for a slip. And thank you, Marcos. 37, he says, wooden boats. And I think if it's been a couple of years now, I think they either did it not publicly or it was very limited, if at all, during COVID, during the pandemic. That is this coming weekend. Yeah, the first stage of the race to Alaska, Gordon Smith is reminding, it has departed from Port Townsend in Washington. That was yesterday. I don't know. After covering it last year as extensively as we did, I didn't quite have the same warmth about it as we did in past years. Maybe we'll look in on it on Friday. Some talks back and forth about the Arrow. By the way, when John said Arrow, he's not talking about the ice boat, the two-seater ice boat called the Arrow. He's talking about the RS Arrow, A-E-R-O. Yeah, Ted Ryman, the cool kid.
Mm-hmm.
The gray roto-molded boat. And lots of boats, lasers, 470s. Sailing, Julie Ahrens is spot on. Sailing builds those attributes in our young sailors, youngest and young, indeed.
Yes.
Indeed. And Stingray can't believe that she Astrid Gilberto only was paid $100 and some odd bucks for that.
Yep.
You know, it was union wage. It was scale for appearing in
a session.
In a session in New York. John looks very buff in that T-shirt. Well, nice. Thanks, Paul Homchick, again for steering me on to the. Julia knew it when you came down here. You knew that Astrid Gilberto had passed away.
Yeah, I tried to talk to you about it, but you were unavailable before.
Oh, was I? Well, I got my head down and up my who knows where, trying to prepare the show each Tuesday and Friday morning. So, and you croutons that send me jokes at 11:55, 12, 12:30. Only if it's from Ryman. Ryman's about the only one I take. I took one from today because it's so good. So Ted Ryman, thank you. But send them before. Send them early in the morning and the night before. Not just before we go to air. Please, we appreciate all submissions, jokes or otherwise. Bravo Zulu to the Royal Ocean Racing Club. We're bringing back, reinvigorating, resurrecting, returning the Admiral's Cup to the world stage come 2025, 2 years hence. And here is, actually, it's made a fair bit of press coverage, made a bit of a splash in the mainstream media, including Reuters. I like pulling reports from, rather than the club website or from, sailing media. This is from Reuters. This is the story. And nice coverage. Southampton, England. The dateline is today, but they actually announced it yesterday. After an absence of more than 20 years, Sailing's Admiral's Cup will make its return when Britain once again will host the International Regatta, recognized as the unofficial World Cup for offshore yacht racing. The July 2025 event, is planned to feature 6 days of inshore and offshore races, culminating in the Rolex Fastnet race, and will be hosted by the RORC in Cowes on the Isle of Wight. Quote, bringing back the Admiral's Cup is a wonderful way to celebrate the centenary of the Royal Ocean Racing Club, RORC Commodore James Neville said, quote, by announcing over 2 years before the start of the Admiral's Cup, teams will have time to prepare for a fantastic event. The RORC aim is to attract teams from all over the world, unquote. Established in 1925 to encourage long-distance yacht racing, the RORC, together with the Yacht Club de France, is responsible for the principal international handicap system for yacht racing. Some who are behind the other one, the IRC might, or the ORC might argue with that. But in my book, I agree with Andrew McIrvin, it is, and with this writer, it is the principal system. First held in 1957, the Admiral's Cup was a biennial event between national teams, of 3 boats, by the way, but was not staged in 2001. It was last held in 2003 and scrapped before the 2005 event when only 2 entrants were committed. were entered, committed. They probably were committed after they called the event off. The United Kingdom has enjoyed the most success with 9 victories. Germany has won 4 times, the U.S. and Australia 3 times each, with the Australians being the holders, having won in 2003. Speaking of the that's an article by Ossian Shine and Christian Radnej in Reuters, on Reuters, the wire service today.
Ed Worley asks why it was stopped.
Well, there were no entries. People, they couldn't muster 3-boat teams, and it was the cost, it was the expense, and so on. So like Clipper Cup in Hawaii, in your favorite State of the Union.
Yeah.
But it's being resurrected. There is the gorgeous Admiral's Cup trophy itself. There are going to be Solent, as you saw in that article, there are going to be Solent inshore races. There is a short offshore race, and then it all culminates with the Fastnet, the Rolex Fastnet race. There's the schedule in 2025, starting in late July, last 2 weeks of July. It'll be I think, really cool event. I think there's pent-up demand. They've got a nice logo. 17th of July through the 1st of August, 2025. I had the great pleasure of being the rules advisor for the U.S. team for several iterations of the Admiral's Cup. Back in the, bloody hell, when was that? 70s and 80s? Or 80s and 90s? I can't remember. I'm too old. Here is a gorgeous photo from the Admiral's Cup. I don't know what year, you know whose boat Ragamuffin from Sydney is, Julia? We celebrated him on this show. He passed away not too long ago. The late, great Sid Fisher.
Yeah.
That's his boat, and I thought we'd stick that in. In fact, the RORC released that photo with their release about this resurrection. And then I reached out to Mr. Dr. Andrew McIrvin this morning. Said, hey, can you give us a comment, being a FOSI and Secretary General of the IMA? And he said, yep, I'm sorry I'm out for tonight, so I'll watch the show later. But I am in full support of the relaunch. Eddie, meeting Eddie Warden-Owen, who was the recently retired CEO of the RORC. Eddie and I tried just before the financial crash of '08, and the plans collapsed. I think team events are a struggle, but perhaps 2 boats will be easier, 2 than 3. I think nationality matters more than clubs, meaning don't have boats all from the same club, but have them recognized from the same nation. But it makes selection difficult. My preference would be, and this is an interesting point, we'll be interested to hear what the FOSI's thoughts are. My preference would be to make the team selection at the end of the event. Open the event to everybody, and then take the 3 best boats from each country after the regatta is over and declare that team the winner. So it also incentivizes, Julia, a country to send boats. And some of these offshore team events operate exactly that way. So that's Andrew's recommendation. Incentivize countries to send boats. Of course, that helps the Brits because they're local and they'll presumably get more boats entered.
Right.
And so that's why some of the other non-Brit teams might not be too pleased about that. But that was Andrew's take. Take 3 best boats from each country and let everyone enter. And then at the end of the regatta, decide the team winner based on which country has the 3 best finishes. I guess the boats now, it used to be you'd had a small boat, medium-sized boat, and a big boat, which helped equalize between the conditions. I mean, light air, heavy air, you got the long offshore race, and horses for courses. But the 2-boat teams, I think there's a medium-sized boat and then a big boat, I think is the formula for the next one. Correct me if I'm wrong, any of you who are watching and know otherwise. So bravo Zulu. Thanks, Andrew, Mr. Dr. Andrew McIrvin, for that. And I think this is a cool thing, a cool development. Bravo Zulu to the Royal Ocean Racing Club, and that is their clubhouse up at the end of St. James Place with the trophy on a table out front of it for this nice photo. And I've spent many late evenings in there playing the guitar, singing with their majesties and sailors from around the globe.
Right.
After the black tie dinner or one of the other dinners during what used to be IYRU week and RORC or ORC week. And we would play, among other songs, Waltzing Matilda and the Eddystone Light and The Girl from Ipanema.
Aha.
Tall and tan and young and handsome, the boy from Ipanema. We'd sing that for you, Julia.
Yes.
The boy from Ipanema goes walking in. What is this day in history? All of you, many of you have already commented on it. This day in history, the 6th of June, 1944, as you know, was D-Day. And it was Operation Overlord, I think was what it was called formerly. 156,000 Allied troops landed at Normandy Beach. What was 79 years ago? Is that right? That's 79 years, I think. 2024 would be 80 years, indeed, 60 and 20. Long time ago. Long time ago. So this is a photo from Wikipedia. It's just an astonishing invasion that was planned for well over a year. And Allied troops, 100, nearly 60,000 troops. Normandy landings were the landing operations and associated airborne operations on Tuesday. It was actually a Tuesday, the 6th of June, 1944, of the Allied invasion of Normandy and Operation Overlord during World War II, codenamed Operation, this segment of it, Neptune, Operation Neptune, and often referred to as D-Day. It was the largest seaborne invasion in history. The operation began the liberation of France and later Western Europe and laid the foundations for the Allied victory on the Western Front, the European front. This day in history, 1944, D-Day, the greatest generation, as it's often called in this country at least, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Conrad and I were there on the 50th.
Your late great husband, Conrad, who was
German. German sea captain. And all of a sudden when he realized, he said, oh my God, I shouldn't probably go there because there'll be,
People
antagonism.
think he's a crouton.
Yeah. But the opposite was true because all those little towns now have German sister cities.
Oh, really? Cool.
And they have for a long time. We had some lovely conversations and a week. It was
The late great Conrad. I'm here because of Conrad. Here at the beach, here at this apartment, at your townhouse, and we've created the Beach Street Yacht Club really in his memory as much as anything.
Yes.
And we have a new member, the Commodore of the St. Francis Yacht Club. First time we let a sitting flag officer join, just because we think so highly of Bo Froelich, our Commodore over there. Okay, let's get to the ocean race. Some disturbing news, actually. We told you in the previous show on Friday that this guy, Kevin Escoffier, would not be continuing as skipper of the team that has been the leader up until the last race. On Wholesome PRB, team skipper exits the ocean race following claims of inappropriate behavior at a party in Newport. This according to Inside the Games, but it's been all over the French media, and this is English language, and but Le Telegram, among others. Le Telegram broke the story in France, but one of our FOSI 2 days ago sent me a German language story, and I appreciate that very much, because I said, well, let's see if you know me, I like to have, before I go with something like this, I have at least 2, if not 3, credible, solid sources. And I thought maybe we're going to be doing a One Here's today, but it's way beyond that because it's all over the media now, including statements from World Sailing and the Ocean Race. But according to Inside the Games and this report in Le Telegram, French sailor Kevin Escoffier has stepped down as skipper of Team Wholesome PRB at the Ocean Race here, following allegations of inappropriate behavior towards a woman. Ocean Race has announced that Escoffier has been withdrawn. I like the way they use that. Has been withdrawn from the French team. And, quote, will not rejoin the race, unquote. An investigation is set to be launched by the French Sailing Federation, the FFV, into claims of misconduct at a party in Newport, Rhode Island in the United States last week. This is the president of the FFV, Jean-Luc Deneschal, is that how you say that? Deneschal, has told French newspaper Le Telegram that an investigation will begin and a report will be filed to France's Ministry of Sport. I confess, this is a quote, I confess to being surprised by the dissonance between the press release from Wholesome PRB and the message on Kevin Escoffier's Instagram account, which spoke of an alleged incident, unquote, said the president. The quote continues, I have therefore made a number of phone calls which led me to believe that the alleged incident referred to by the skipper is in fact inappropriate behavior he allegedly displayed towards a young woman at a party in Newport, unquote. Team Wholesome PRB announced on Saturday, this is just a couple, 3 days ago now, that Frenchman Benjamin Schwartz was joining the crew with Escoffier, stepping away from the race for personal reasons, as we said. This is David Graham, the now, two and a half years he's been CEO of World Sailing. David Graham, CEO, World Sailing, told Inside the Games, quote, "We are aware of the allegations related to an incident at the Rhode Island stopover. We are working," that's a quote, "we are working with the relevant stakeholders to ensure this matter is being dealt with appropriately and with the seriousness it merits. While we are not able to comment on the incident at this stage, behaviors of this kind, of the kind alleged, must not be tolerated in our sport." And indeed, we would all support that, but let's also say that you're innocent until proven guilty, and this is at this point just alleged, but apparently it was by mutual consent that Kevin, Mr. Escoffier, stepped away from the team for the final 2 legs that are remaining. Go ahead, Julie.
I was amazed this morning that CBS Sunday Morning had
Please.
had a maybe like a 15-minute section on
15 minutes?
Yeah, I mean quite long about the race. And
the ocean race?
The ocean race, and followed it and just looked at it.
Is this on the CBS morning show?
Yes. And it's at the 7:45 section if you want to look at it. But
so it's 7:45, and so it would have been 7:45 Eastern time too. I'll go look for it online and see if you can play it on Friday's show.
Yeah.
Anyway, they were talking about the ocean race doing the whole.
No, they were talking about its role basically in doing scientific research.
And checking the oceans and checking ocean temperatures and taking samples of the water and all the things that they are doing.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it from time to time. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
so that was on CBS, on the CBS, the breakfast show or the morning show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll have a look for that. Thank you. Anything else on that?
No, I was trying to tell you this morning.
Well, you were. You told me when you got down here for the tech check.
Yeah.
You know me. I don't look. My phone doesn't ring.
I know.
I don't. The croutons that trying to. I'm sorry. I have my.
It's all right.
Know what? Up and head down, trying to get the show prepared.
It'll hold.
Well, it is. It's evergreen, right?
Right.
Okay. So now we got Simon Fisher's. We played his preview of the next leg or two from a long time ago, maybe early on, maybe the first leg, I don't now remember, but he's done another one, really good, 3+ minutes previewing the final 2 legs of the ocean race.
Hi, I'm Simon Fisher, going into my 6th race with 11th Hour Racing Team. I've won this race once before, hoping to do it again. I'm going to talk you a little bit through the route. Leg 6 and 7, the finale to the race really. It's going to be tough. All the big ocean sailing is out of the way and now it's very coastal, very busy. Tough for the navigators because you're always going around headlands, dodging stuff, looking at currents, tides, weather. Yeah, full on. So yeah, coming out of the Baltic, coastal sailing down the coast of Denmark. We're going to be going around a buoy just off of Kiel. There's a lot of TSS zones and traffic here that we've got to observe. Makes for some tough tactical decisions. Around the Market Kiel and down the German and then the Dutch coast for a quick pit stop in The Hague. Lots of coastal sailing. Getting into the summer, we've obviously got the weather coming through, but things are getting warmer. Can't look too far ahead with all this coastal sailing. You've got to be looking what the weather's doing in the next few hours. Land breezes, thermal breezes, all that sort of stuff. And then, yeah, continuing down the coast in the North Sea, through the Straits of Dover. Again, nice sort of pinch point, always very busy, always very challenging. Got to be on your toes. There's actually a lot of current, all very tidal here. As we come down through the channel, it's got some of the biggest tidal ranges here actually, and you can see up to 10 knots of tidal current here, so always a tough place to sail. Down again around Ushant, another place with a lot of tide, potentially a lot of wind, a lot of sea state, so yeah, the coastal challenges just keep coming one and after the other, so there's really no time to relax. Get ourselves across Biscay. Biscay, it's summertime, but it still has a fairly ferocious reputation for bringing some big winds. But the hope is that, yeah, we can get ourselves across Biscay and we can enjoy the nice northerly trade winds. You get down the coast of Portugal, round the corner, back through Gibraltar. Again, could be really strong upwind with massive accelerations, could be really strong downwind, and then back into the Med, and then summer in the Med. Summer in the Med is a challenge. Could be light winds, could be upwind, could be very slow going. Headland by headland, just trying to get round, trying not to park up. It's the last leg of the race, pressure could be on, so we just really got to make sure we keep our game strong. And then all the way up into the bay, trying to get to the bay of Genoa up here. Typically you can get high pressure in this area, can be very light between, sort of in the area between Barcelona and Alicante, all the Balearic Islands. So I guess as we're coming in, we're making the decision whether we're going around the outside or trying to fight our way through some weather on the inside. Could be a place where you see the fleet split, and yeah, that final leg might get decided there. Obviously, we've got the Gulf of Leon, another area where we've seen some strong winds, can be some pretty challenging conditions. Getting into the Bay of Genoa is always complicated. There's a few races that finish there in the summer. I've certainly done it a few times, and I don't think I've ever arrived in Genoa with a reliable breeze to sail up to the finish line and be done. It's not a great place for sea breezes because there's a lot of mountains around the edge, so typically there's going to be some really light airs and you're just fighting with everything you've got to get to that finish line. And yeah, after many thousands of miles of sailing, it's going to be a nail-biter all the way to the finish.
Sci-fi, Simon Fisher, the Brit, who's sailing with 11th Hour Racing, former winner of the race, as you know. And did he make a joke about Bay of Biscay? You said I didn't get it. I wasn't listening.
I didn't
carefully.
hear it as a joke. It was just referring to the weather, which is really horrendous in the Bay of Biscay.
Well, it can be, or exactly. Well, it's going to be a tricky. The last two legs are going to be tricky. You see, they got to go up and around and back out, go down to Kiel and back out into the Atlantic, and then down the coast and then into the Med, as you saw Simon describe. They had an inshore race. I guess it was Sunday, was it? I haven't paid a lot of attention here, but they did have an inshore race. It was won by Biotherm, the image I had there underneath this graphic. Biotherm won it, got their 5 points at Aarhus. Wholesome PRB was second, and that's with their new skipper. 11th Hour was third, Team Militia fourth. Now, these are just for tie breaking. So 11th Hour still on top as far as the tie break is concerned. But, with the boats only, with the top two teams only a point apart, and with Team Militia, 4 or 5 points down, anything could happen here. Mm-hmm. Probably comes down to 11th Hour and the Wholesome PRB, but we shall see if 11th Hour can keep. They won the last two legs, so let's see if they keep it on a roll. The VO65s are back in action, and Wind Dancer, I guess, was that the name of the boat, won their inshore race. They're now going to do these last two legs. I'm sorry, I can't really get too excited about it. I'm not going to apologize because they haven't done the whole race, and to come now do these last two legs, I'm not going to cover it. They had a press conference today, and I'll back it up. They had a press conference, and all 5 skippers are there. So if you're wondering what's happening with Guillaume, Environment Team Europe, well, their skipper was there, and he came by car from Kiel because the boat is just now, one hears, is just now leaving Kiel to sail. Not to go on a ship, not to be towed, to sail now from Kiel to Aarhus, up to Aarhus. And the race starts Thursday. So in one day and kind of 18, 17 hours, something like that. They don't have a lot of time to get there, but they think they're just going to get there by the skin of their teeth. This was today's press conference. That's Charlie N right there on the far right, who said, I thought this was interesting, I think that's what's kind of helped spark our turnaround is that we've sailed aggressively and we've turned a blind eye to the competition. The scores are still too close, and we have 2 different challenging legs ahead, but we're definitely sailing to win. We're not sailing to not lose. Good point, interesting point. So I think that the same level of risk is going to exist in these next few legs as has existed in the legs previous. We're going to come out aggressive, try to sail our own race, and hopefully the results end up like they have in the last 2 legs and not in the first couple of legs when they struggle a bit. And we'll see if they can carry on. And
they've really done a good job.
Of late.
Yeah.
Of late. So we shall see. Now, speaking of Guillaume, this is a photo from this morning in Kiel. where they've got the boat. They've actually got the boat fixed faster than they had hoped, sooner than they'd hoped. And the Geo Environment Team Europe completed the repair work on the yacht faster than hoped and set sail from Kiel for Aarhus today, this evening. So what time is it Central CET? It is 20:55 UTC, so it's 22:55 CET in Kiel, Central European time. So earlier, and not just in the last few hours, they set sail. Kiel's mayor, Dr. Ulf Kampfer, came to the spontaneous farewell party at the pier of the Knierim Yachtbau, GmbH. How's that for German pronunciation?
Oh, good.
Shortly before the departure, and wished the crew all the best for the 2 remaining legs in the ocean race, especially for the flyby from Kiel on Friday afternoon. We'll be back. While skipper Benjamin Dutroux has already traveled by car to Aarhus, you saw him there at the press conference, co-skipper Robert Stanek made it clear once again how tight the schedule for the repairs was. Indeed, it was.
Absolutely.
So this is the standings, 11th Hour Racing on 28 points, a point ahead of Team Wholesome PRB, and only 4 points. That is 11th Hour, only 4 points ahead of Team Malizia. So theoretically, Team Malizia could climb up in these last 2 races, but we shall see. I'm not quite sure that their chances are all that great, but maybe.
Yep.
I think it's really going to come down to Team Wholesome PRB and 11th Hour Racing, and who knows if Team Wholesome PRB, although they did okay yesterday, or Sunday, I guess it was, in the import race, they may be as good or better without Mr. Escoffier. How would you know, Julia?
I wouldn't know.
One would not know. The start is on June 8th, this Thursday. So day after tomorrow, start of Leg 6 to Den Haag. They do that Kiel flyby. And I believe the start is at 1400 UTC, which would be what, 1600 CET. Whatever. Lots of comments, lots and lots of comments. We have such a great group of folks. Did Tom just say, and all 5 strippers turned up? But no, I didn't. If I did, Gordon, it was a trip. It was a trip of the tongue. Slip of the tongue. Slip of the tongue. Oh, we're getting foul now, Gordon Smith. Wind Whisper, I think. Thank you, Steve Gruber. Yeah, I think that was the VO65 that won the inshore. I think they've won all the races, haven't they? I can't remember. We used to call the Bay of Biscay the Bay of Biscuits. That's what all the passengers could stomach. Graham Sweeney.
Oh, yes.
Pedro Falling Sailor. Sorry, Tom, I can't take your call right now as I'm listening to TFE Live while walking at Balmoral, Pedro. Thank you, Peter Stevenson. We need another Pedro's perspective.
Yes.
Send us a Pedro's perspective, Peter Stevenson. What else here? I was just thinking the same thing. Imagine if the Orca fancy chasing a rudder at speed as they go through. I don't think they're going to chase these boats, but who knows? They're still attacking around Gibraltar yesterday, Alan Long is saying. Thank you. I've got a little joke at the end that one of you sent. Alan Long, apropos of this alleged interaction with the lady, I don't mean to downplay it, but whatever happened, sexual harassment or otherwise, that happened to me at the KWRW, the Key West Race Week in '97. That's down all the way at the tip of the barrier. What are those islands called, Julia, in Florida? They go all the way down to Key West. What do you call that?
Windward.
No, help me out here, you all. Key West is the very end of that chain of islands. It's a better name than that. Yeah. Peter Craig, he got banned from the race by Peter Craig after this incident. It was investigated and found to be unfounded. And Florida Keys, thank you. Of course it's Key. You go to Key West, it's the Keys. Thank you, Steve Gerber. The Keys, everybody. They're all
thank you, guys.
They're trying to beat each other with the info. It was investigated and unfounded. I was apologized to, but I stopped racing there because of the bad experience. I've never been that type of person. Of course not. Ted Ryman, thank you for that link. Oh, Stingray's making an off-color joke there. Bonsoir, Matt Suzuki in France. Former member here at St. Francis Yacht Club. 3 sources. The New York Times will print all the rumors that aren't fit to print anywhere else. Now, we always at least double, if not triple source R1 hears on any of these kinds of things that might be a little dicey.
Mhm.
J. Frederick Bland, soldiers, sailors don't hold grudges against their opposites for doing their duty. Julia, apropos your comment about Conrad and going
Mhm.
to Normandy. Yeah, Julie Aaron's good point. And what is amazing is that most of the soldiers, sailors are 17, 18, and 19 years old. Hard to believe that the founding fathers and mothers of this country were in their 20s.
Mhm.
If you go watch the stage play Hamilton, which is fabulous.
Yes. It's also
You
hard to
realize.
believe that the American cemetery
Yeah.
there, it goes on and on and
Right.
on and on and on. And
Well, the Allied cemetery too, right? Was
Yeah.
it split into, or was it all everybody in together, or was it?
I think it was split.
Was it? The second largest invasion in history, the largest, of course, was Sardinia some months earlier. Was it? Gordon Smith? Okay. Yeah, Bill Wingrove, we noted at the top of the show, if you weren't with us, that the lady that Astrid Gilberto, who sang Ipanema, that's why we were talking about Ipanema
Right.
here in just the last few minutes. Mini Maxis, more boats, the better. Congratulations, 100 messages. Interesting, I say, Darwinism 52s. Well, we'll see. Sid Fisher, Greg Phillips, yep, of course. And, okay, we'll go back up, not any further in the comments and carry on here with the show. But Bravo Zulu again to the RORC. I think this is great news.
Yeah.
Now, this I did take because when I get one from Ryman, at least I try to look at it if I don't put it in the show. But this is correct or crutonic. I ask you if it's true or not. And be careful before you answer.
Okay.
Is this baby Jody Shields? Is this Jody as a baby? Is it correct or crutonic? Now remember, Ted Ryman's in touch with Jody's wife,
Mm-hmm.
so be careful. Or is this just something random off the internet, or is it photoshopped? Is this correct or crutonic? This is Jody Shields as a baby. Bill Wingrove says Jody for sure.
It's a great picture.
No, Jody was fatter. Graham says, "Come on." I need to put Julia. I need to put another window right under this where we can put the comments in,
Yeah.
so we can
Yeah.
look at the picture. What other comments are coming in? I am going with correct. Alan Long is saying. Okay, well, it's a good question, and again, I think Ryman sent that. He did. Anybody else want to take a guess? It would be brilliant if true.
Yes. That's a great one. Yeah.
What do you think, Julia? You decide.
Oh,
Correct or crutonic?
I think I'm with. It would be wonderful if it were true.
But you're not convinced.
Well,
I didn't tell you in the tech check.
no, I think that the costuming is newer materials and stuff than it would have been when he was 35 years old.
It's
But-
fabulous costume. It
Yeah.
is crutonic. Ryman sent that in. I had to run it. When I saw that, that's why we almost were late getting on the air. Julia. Thank you, Ted.
Yeah.
Jody, I hope you enjoyed it. I don't see Jody on here, but if he's not, then if he
Yeah.
is, hopefully he comes along later. The audio, is it out? No, I don't think so, Ed Worley. It's crutonic when Jody was born. They didn't have color photography. That's crutonic. The baby has 5 toes on each foot. Fish are friends, not food. I say crutonic based on the construction of the costume. I thought Jody was a bar shark.
Yes,
Oh.
I saw that.
Thierry de Jong has lost his audio. Have we lost the audio? Anybody else lost the audio, or is it just those of you in SoCal? Sounds like a couple of you in SoCal have lost audio. I don't know how that could be. I hope it's not true. I'm going to go listen to the show and be sure we have audio. Anybody else lost audio? I hope it's not true. Let's see what we've got here on my checker.
All good.
Oh, you're back now. Okay, that must have been a burp in your server down there in SoCal because it was 2 Southern Californians. Paul, no, it's not correct. No audio. Yeah, okay. I had audio problems, but got back off and back on. So, okay. Hopefully, Clark, there's no problem. Audio fine out east. Thanks, Peter Taylor. Okay, we're not going to worry. In Sedona. Hi, Mary Longpree. She's in She's in Arizona, Sedona.
How'd she do that?
Well, she has a home down there.
Aha.
She's a cool lady, that one, Mary.
She is.
She is indeed. Is there any America's Cup news, Julia? Any America's Cup news? You tell me. Have you heard any America's Cup news?
I haven't heard anything juicy.
Juicy or otherwise?
It's crickets.
It's crickets. It's quiet. But here's the question I wanted to ask. Now, you saw cue crickets. Yeah, I can play the crickets. Okay, here we go. But while we're listening to the crickets, Julie, what do you think of that golf deal this morning? And have you thought about what implications that golf deal, LIV, the Saudi-backed
Oh, yes.
professional golf, LIV because it means 54 in Roman numerals.
Yeah.
Because they were going to only have 54 holes instead of, what is the other one, 80, whatever.
Yeah.
And they've done a deal. Apparently, they're merging the PGA and LIV
Yes.
Golf and the European circuit, too, aren't they? It's quite a deal. And if the golf world is doing that, and if this is all coming together, what are the implications, I ask all of you, for this Saudi event? Does that help the Saudi event?
Probably.
Probably. Let's see what the Fozzies think. Andrew Pindar is checking in. Quick hello from a sun-baked and breeze-blessed Aarhus. Nice.
Oh, good.
There's a lot of comments. Stingray, the Saudis, LIV bought out the PGA. Maybe Ace could start marketing grant drivers. They can hit a long distance.
Yeah.
Ernesto and Barker went out on an AC40 together. Yes, I heard about that, Edward. Well, Barker is, I think he's going to be coaching. He's going to be helping Alinghi. It sets a precedent that an arbitration panel can't ignore, Baton Rouge says. Jody Shields, I can't believe all you think I'm fat. Oh, he's on. Hello, Jody.
Hi, Jody.
I identify as skinny.
Yes.
54 is birdie on every hole on a par 72. Oh, is that what it is, Dan Knox? Okay. I thought 54 was, I thought it was those LIV Golf were only going to be 54 holes instead of 72. Dan Knox, am I not right? But makes the PGA pros like Rory look stupid, Matt Suzuki is saying. Yes, indeed. Okay, well, they want pictures of Jody Shields as a kid. Hey, we got to reach out to Jody's wife and see if we can get some pictures of Jody as a kid.
That would be a good idea.
See if he was a baby shark. Yeah, 54 holes, James Frederick Bland is saying. Well, I guess it's also an interesting coincidence that 54 is birdie on every hole on a 72, par 72 course. Okay. Yeah, as the crowd. Okay, so I had that right. I don't know much about golf. I've never played other than putt-putt, miniature golf. So we'll see. Follow the money, Boomer Bland is saying. Interesting. Nice to have Andrew Pindar. Maybe he can give us a report for Friday's show from Aarhus. Give us a video report, Andrew, if you would, please. Love to hear from you. Alinghi have started two-boat testing. So otherwise, I always thought of Jody as an ocean sunfish.
Not a shark.
Okay, enough of all that. Never playing golf is the correct decision. Enough crickets. I agree. Let's get rid of the bloody crickets. Stop the crickets.
Yeah.
That gets us to, blessedly, what time is it here? It's only 8 minutes after 2. A little bit shorter show today, a little 8 minutes after 2 here in San Francisco. Sun's coming up in Sydney. The sun's well and truly up in Auckland. Welcome to all of you who are joining late or otherwise. Nice to have you on here. If you're watching in replay, by the way, please, you're also welcome to leave comments. We always say that at the end of the show. We're here to the last leg with this famous Thomas Hoyne painting that we love so much. Mm-hmm. And this is a video. I mean, I love the Dragon class. I love the former Olympic classes who are going for, the FD class. The Finn class just had their World Masters in Greece on an idyllic beach. There, you could see them going off in light air off the beach. And I haven't found a final video, recap video of that, but when I do, I'll play it. But they do have a nice recap video from Icarus Sports here of the Dragon World Championships just concluded in Turkey. Have a look. just have to voice this.
Weather conditions this week were demanding, challenging, not so much physically, but mentally. Against a stiff competition, we won the final prize. It's absolutely exciting. We are the current reigning European champion. We are now the reigning world champion, and it's not going to get much better than that.
I guess you all can read these captions. I wish they'd voice. You know, I'd be happy to voice any of these for regatta. If you send them to me, I'll record reading the comments and not step on the people who are live to tape audio, who are giving their audio like the winner just did. Fabulous class. Mm-hmm. Great turnout. An incredible week of racing came to an end with a fantastic prize giving. Dragon World's World Sailing.
Yeah,
Icarus
good.
Sports. Nice stuff.
Yeah.
Happy to give their sponsors a little credit for a beautiful... The Icarus Sports is, I think they're a German company, aren't they? They're based maybe in Hamburg, in fact. Bravo Zulu, well done. And we appreciate those kinds of videos, and I know you all do too, because the comments end. Comments stop coming in when we put on a video like that, and it's nice. It's nice to see because we all appreciate them. Such nice boats. Ted Ryman say we had a rather large fleet at Edgewater Yacht Club in Cleveland back before the new century of dragons. Is that right, Alan Long? I won a Flying Scot North American Championship at Edgewater Yacht Club in downtown Cleveland. Back in 74. Holy cow! Is that 50 years ago?
I won't tell anybody.
74 to 20. Yeah, it's 50 years ago. Huge mistake to take the keel boats out of the Olympics. Ageism. I agree, James Bland. Jay Frederick. Alan Long. Yep, 50 years ago. Yeah, and I identify Jody Graham Sweeney's. Okay. Kill the crickets. We've done that. Let's get this one wrapped up here. We've got the finish line in our beautiful photo from Tampa, Davis Island Yacht Club. Now, I've got winners of the day. We've been talking about Air New Zealand because some people were disparaging them for that weighing thing. Remember we talked about that on Friday? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm making them the winners of the day because since that, and unrelated to that, one of the best websites that does this sort of thing, ranking the world's airlines, and it's a very popular rating system called airlineratings.com. They have ranked, it just came out over the weekend, Air New Zealand has been ranked the best airline in the world by airlineratings.com, a website for airline safety and product reviews. The airline, AirNZ, beat Qatar. You pronounce it, I say tomato, you say tomato.
Yeah.
Qatar Airways, which held the title in 2021 and 2022. To secure the top spot. The website cited Air New Zealand's new Skynest economy beds. I've flown a lot of hours on Air New Zealand. I think the world of the airline, even if they weigh you. Fine. Let's find out what the passengers weigh.
Yeah.
You can opt out of it, as we said in the show Friday.
Yeah.
All those people that were being critical of them for doing it.
Makes for safer flying.
And exactly, and they can figure out what the distribution of weight and so on. And you can opt out of it.
Sure.
And maybe the seat size, too. Who knows?
know,
but these new Skynest economy beds, I've seen pictures of them. I should have grabbed one and stuck it in here. The airlines, these beds in economy, economy, you're going to have lay-flat beds, or nearly so.
Oh, neat.
Not quite. And the airline safety record is 2 reasons for the top ranking. So Bravo Zulu to them, and there are winners of the day. Air New Zealand was ranked first for economy class, by the way. Qatar Airways took the lead for business class, and Singapore, which has always been among the very top airlines, was ranked the best first-class airline. And if I had to say, I think they're my favorite airline. Which is yours, Julia? Favorite airline?
Well, I was most impressed with Singapore.
Yeah.
But also their feminine, perfect
Hostesses.
Hostesses,
Yeah, the
yeah.
flight attendants. Absolutely.
Little style.
Did only skinny people get to vote? Stingray is asking. Okay, there are winners of the day. Air New Zealand, Bravo, Zulu. Now, you know who got ranked the best airline in the U.S.?
Delta.
You're right. Delta, ranked 15 in the world. So our airlines don't rank. Best low-cost airline was Southwest in the U.S. So that's understandable. 15th in the world only, Delta Airlines. Now, the losers of the day, the croutons du jour, are not the Gstaad Yacht Club, but all the haters. I have people criticizing at St. Francis over the weekend, in fact, and on here, saying your Gstaad Yacht Club, up in the Alps, in Switzerland, in Suiza, is a fake yacht club. It is not. It is a real club with, I don't know, we have something like 500 members. It's 25 years old now. We have ski yachting. We have reciprocal with the Yacht Club de Monaco and the Lake of Thun and a few other clubs. Run a lot of races, run a great junior program, run classic yachting, and run this famously cool, this is a junior sailing or a junior skiing thing, I guess. Mm-hmm. Look like kids to me. Mm-hmm. Are they? Mm-hmm. And, you know, we have a clubhouse. We have a clubhouse with a nice restaurant, and it's open, you know, a good bit of the year. And this club is cool. If you ever have the chance, go there, and they'll welcome you with open arms. It may be the wealthiest yacht club in the world, too. Mm-hmm. And we started it on track at a Formula One event, 1998, 25 years ago today. I'm proudly one of the 10 founding members. And for those of you criticizing us as a non-club, shame on you. Mm-hmm. We are a real yacht club with real members, real yacht racing, and a very cool ski yachting competition at the end of February, early March every year. And those of you who are critical...
And access to the sea, just in case.
Oh, yeah, we exactly right. Julia knows. We also run a regatta every year on an arm of the sea in case. In fact, Bernie Ecclestone, who was also the former Formula One maestro, he was one of the 10 founding members, and he said, we got to enter the America's Cup. And we said, no, Bernie.
No, we don't want to do that.
We don't want to do that. But we'll run a regatta on an arm of the sea.
Just in case.
Just in case. And we do. Critics of the Gstaad Yacht Club are the croutons du jour. It's a good club. If you ever get up there, summer or winter, we're open in the summer too. Go have a look. Whiskey, what is the definition of a yacht club? Mm-hmm. Well, it's a gathering of people whose common interest is sailing or yachting, right? Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Here's the first one. And, you know, we're starting with a drinking one today. Whenever I have a panic attack, I put a brown paper bag over my mouth and drink all the bourbon inside. It seems to help. Ed Worley sent that one along. Thank you very much. Now, Julia, get your finger ready.
All right.
This is the gender studies when I was a kid.
Well, it's true.
Huh?
It's true.
That's from Greg Phillips down in Australia. And I when I saw that, I was thinking about being a pubescent or post-pubescent teenager, reading Playboy,
and really sneaking it.
Well, we didn't have to sneak it. If my mother's on, well, by the way, my mother is in the hospital, but she's doing okay. I talked to her just before we went to the show. Anyone she loves you, Peter Stevenson. If you want to send her a little text and say, you know, get well, she's doing okay. Not 100%, but she's doing okay. I have never told my mother this. We used to go over to on the lake when we grew up. Our junior sailing instructor, those of us who were somewhat more advanced, we knew how to do buoy. You know, we knew how to do certain things, more basic things. We'd dock our boats and go up to our instructor's bedroom up in the cottage on the side of the hill while he was down distracted with the other kids doing whatever, tying knots or doing whatever they do, and read his Playboys. And we thought we were very clever. We learned a lot in our junior sailing, junior sailing program, including our gender studies when we were a kid from Playboy. I may have run this before. Joe Holtzman sent this. Do you remember this one, Julie? I just thought it was hilarious. It occurs to me that we could both save a little money if we went shoe shopping together.
Yes.
Joe Holtzman sent that.
Yep.
And apropos some of the things we've been talking about of late, Billy the cook from Annapolis sent this today. Nice boat you got there. Be a shame if someone put it at the bottom of the ocean. This is a serious thing. They've had another incident, as one of you reported, here it's all outside of the Med, west of, at least so far it has been west of Gibraltar and up and around on the coast, off the coast of Portugal. So,
And don't forget there's the West Coast too.
well, you said that, and you're right. There's been some reports of action
I gave
here
you the
on,
article. Yeah.
but on the West Coast, but I haven't seen any boats being sunk. I just see
No.
orcas swarming around or
No boats
whatever
sunk.
they are. So
No boat sunk.
it'd be a shame if someone put it at the bottom of the ocean. I couldn't resist putting one more, and we started with a drinking one. We ended with a drinking. I just read an article of the dangers of drinking. It scared the shiza out of me. That's it. After today, no more reading. The Drinking Show with a Sailing Habit. Thank you, Ted Ryman, for that one as well. Alan Long, 2 rudders on 1 boat. Yeah, it will be interesting to see how these IMOCAs deal with the orcas, the orca. Orcas, plural, is orca. Mine an orca stomach, contents have an arm in the sea.
No.
Julia, they're punchy. We're only an hour and 20 minutes in.
I know.
What's Groover saying? Prime target, except one is usually out of the way. That's true. Good night, Matt Suzuki, who's in France, where it is, It's almost 20 after 11 there, 23:21. So thanks to all of you. Please, Julia, remind us to...
Yes. Like, follow, and share.
Yeah, indeed. And you're welcome to leave comments, even if you are watching in replay. Give us a little bit of a boost, $1 or $5 or $10 a month. Become a payer. If you want to just send a check here to the Beach Street Yacht Club, we'll gladly provide the address. Helps us keep the internet running. Helps us keep us on the air because this is viewer-supported media. Become a patron, patreon.com/join/sailing illustrated. Thank you for all the media, the tunes, the songs, the girl from Ipanema. I don't know. I didn't see Jonathan Frank on here to see if that kid who was playing the piano, if he's by any chance a relation. Sean Frank, I think was his name.
Yeah.
Good piano player. He couldn't have been
Was.
much older than 14, 15.
Yeah.
Thierry DeYoung, thank you to you. Thanks to everybody. When are we going to have a FOSI forum again? You tell me, Jody. We are going to do it. And one of the things we're going to talk about is we're going to have John Emmett come on and talk about how to do video recording. And he's doing it with a wireless mic and the simple way, the inexpensive way, the little more technically astute way with wireless mics and so on, and what cameras he's using. That's one of the things we are going to do. Nice show again. Thank you. Alan Long, we appreciate you coming on. Better late than never. And that's same for all of you, especially those of you watching in replay. Julia, final thoughts?
No. D-Day is a memory.
It is. Well, you don't remember D-Day, do you?
Yes, I do.
You were only 5 years old.
But my dad was there.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
He survived?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Okay. 1944. 79 years ago. You must be old.
Well, I got news for you.
God, I am too. I'm getting, I don't feel old, but you start to look around, you realize how old your parents are, and you realize that we're all getting old.
Yeah.
Not all of you on here, certainly not Jody, certainly not John Emmett. Thanks, everybody. Just a reminder that a week from today, we're going to have Rick Bannerow coming on live. He's going to give us some great photos. He's taking a lot of photos of the yachting, sailing events there on the East Coast. Rick, I met him back in the, 84, maybe 85, sometime in the early to mid 80s when he was Rolex's representative to our beloved sport. He helped promote Rolex well and truly, especially Rolex USA, into our sport and did a fabulous job and still does. A raconteur, a smart guy, and just we're looking forward to having him on the show a week from today. In the meantime, we hope you have a great rest of your week. We'll see you same time, same channel back here on Friday. And if you can, go sailing, sail fast, Sail safe and have fun. Ciao for now.